going up.
Hey everyone! For today we'll be working on 4 pieces. This dresser. Now all the pieces are in good condition. This piece, the dresser, the only damage is has water damage here on the corner. Now this is a particle board, so there is the swelling, so I'll have to sand that out smooth and make sure that I prime it really good. Over here I have the wah, which there is nothing wrong with it. I do have the shelf for the middle. Here is the mirror that goes on the dresser. And as you can see, even though I'm showing you the mirror, behind it is the bed. Now the bed did have this onlay on it, and you can see the imprint. I took it off before I'm ready to clean and sand the piece back. So since I know this is an older piece, I'm going to use Dawn dish soap and warm water to get all the grease out of the piece. And then I'll use my liquid sandpaper to make sure that I can get all the shine off the piece. So the first thing I want to do is take the drawers out and remove all the hardware. I'll be using my small sander with 180 grit sandpaper to sand the top of the piece. I'm doing this especially with 180 grit sandpaper because of the water damage that's here on the corner. And I want to make sure that I can sand that down smooth. And then I'll use the sander to just scuff sand all the pieces.
Your price be going up.
I want to continue scuff sanding all the pieces with this 180 grit sandpaper. I'll then go back over the top with a 220 grit to make sure that it's smooth. The prep work is the hardest part to do, but if you do the prep work, your piece will turn out perfect every time.
Your price be going up.
Of course, after you sand, you want to take a damp cloth or a tack cloth and you want to wipe everything free of the dust.
Your price be going up.
Now that I have everything sanded and clean, I went ahead and took the hardwares off the doors so that I don't have to try to paint around them. Now that all the repairs have been done and all the hardware has been removed, the doors have been taken off the bureau, I can get ready to prime. And I'm using my Zinsser 123 primer, and this is my go-to primer. I already have it in a tray. I have a roller as well as my brush, and I'll be rolling it as well as using the brush to paint it on. I'm starting with the brush and I'm going into all these intricate details. And because this door has so many intricate details, I'm using a very small amount of paint, almost like a dry brush, to get in between those crevices. This will also help to make sure that you don't get a lot of that pooling of the paint in the ridges. Then I switched over to a roller to apply my first thin layer of the primer. It's time to add the second coat of primer, so I stopped being lazy and I taped around the mirror before I put on the second coat of paint. On the top where the water damage is here in the corner, I'll take my 180 grit sandpaper and sand it a little bit smoother until I'm happy with it.
Your price be going up.
I added another coat of primer to the top of the dresser, took my 240 grit sandpaper and lightly sand down any imperfections in my primer on all my pieces. Now I want to take a damp cloth and I just want to wipe away all the dust from sanding.
Your price be going up.
I'm adding my second coat of the primer. I ran out of white primer and used gray to finish. To add interest and character to the piece, I pulled out my bronze paint. I painted the 3 inset panels on the bed.
Your price be going up.
I then added it to the panel above. This is just one coat, We're going to let it dry and add a second and if need be a third coat of this color paint. I also added it to the bottom of the mirror as well as the top of the mirror. Finally, it's time for the fun stuff. I have 2 coats of primer on all my pieces. The top of my dresser is smooth and I pulled out my Modern Masters Black Pearl paint. To apply my paint today, I'm using my favorite short handle angle brush.
Yo, Blaze, going up.
Because I'm doing so many pieces, I want to apologize for skipping all over the place, but as you guys know that follow me, I don't have a workshop and I work in my family room, so it's kind of hard. So I have pieces of furniture sitting all over the place. Therefore, I hope you guys can really see what I'm doing on the pieces. Also, I've never done this many pieces at one time. Generally, I break up a set and I do 1 or 2 pieces, not all of them at one time. But because this is a commission piece, it all needs to go at the same time. And with some camera magic, I have my first coat of paint on all my pieces. And this is what it's looking like. I know this is metallic paint, so the first coat goes on really rough. You see a lot of brush marks, but that's okay because they'll all start to smooth out when I add the second coat of paint. I started adding the second coat of paint to the headboard and it's looking really good. If you look closely at the headboard, the panel at the top, I changed it from bronze to black. I'm going to finish adding the second coat of paint, and when it dries, I'm going to tape off the panels so that I'll have a crisp line in the middle. Because there's so many pieces, I'm going to paint the rest of the pieces off camera. And again, with a little bit of editing, my second coat of paint is dry. I used my 220 grit sanding block and I gave it a light sand. This is to get any imperfection out of my paint before wiping it down and adding my third coat of paint.
Yo, Blaze, going up.
Now I'm finally ready to add my third and final coat of paint to all the pieces. On my final coat, I'm making sure that I make long, smooth, and even strokes. And here's a look at 3 coats on the door and 2 coats are on the drawers. Three coats over here and 2 coats over here. While I'm waiting for the second coat to dry on the dresser, I went ahead and pulled it on the table and painted the legs in this bronze color paint. Now I'm ready to paint the top of the dresser in the bronze paint. All of my pieces have been painted and dry, and now I can do the fun stuff, remove the tape from the panels as well as the mirrors. When I removed the tape from the panels, my bronze paint came off. I was so disappointed. I just went ahead and started to paint it black. I'm just going to paint all the panels black and be done. I'm giving the top of the dresser a very, very light sand. I just want to make sure everything is smooth. I'll wipe it down and then we'll be ready to add the top coat. For my top coat, I'm using Minwax polyacrylic. I'm also mixing a little bit of my bronze paint in the top coat, and this will help it go on smooth without streaking. And this will also hide any blemishes left from the light sand that I gave the top.
Your price be going up.
I'll do the same thing with the black pearl paint and put a top coat on the entire dresser, the chest, the mirror, and the bed. Again, to keep the video from being so long, I'm going to go ahead and add the top coat to the bureau, the bed, as well as the mirror. And we'll come back for the reveal. But before we do that, here's a look at the pieces once again. The top of the dresser had lots of water damage and bubbles. And here's a look at the bureau. And here's the bed that had that ugly emblem on the front. And the mirror. And here are three complete. First, I have my dresser. Absolutely beautiful. The hardware I already had on hand. I didn't go out and buy it. This is what I had in my supply, and I added them because I didn't have to drill any new holes. The top of the dresser and the bureau, and also the legs on the dresser and the bureau, I added 3 coats of the top coat. And here's a closer look at the bureau. I think all 4 of my pieces turned out really, really great. But you let me know in the comments, what do you think? On the inside of the bureau, I didn't change anything. I just added the shelf back. And here's a closer look at the headboard.
Your price be going up.
Absolutely beautiful. Again, I took the carper out of the center of the bed and only added the carper to the top part of the bed. And last, here's my mirror. Again, just that hint of copper right at the top of the mirror and also at the base of the mirror. So my husband came in and he helped me put the mirror on top so you can get a look at what the set really looks like. Absolutely beautiful.
Your place be going up.
If you're out there watching and you're not a part of the Redesign family, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And don't forget the notification bell so you'll know when I upload new videos. It's time to say thank you all for watching and have a wonderful, wonderful day. God bless, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.